A North American-based nonprofit watchdog group recently uncovered that the U.S. government has considered using armed drones to go after illegal immigrants and drug traffickers along the U.S.-Mexico border. The same drones have killed insurgents and at times innocent people in Afghanistan and Pakistan. While the U.S. government denies such plans, an America's Now investigation has revealed that a federal agency document may suggest otherwise and was heavily redacted before it was released to the public. Right now, a civil liberties lawsuit is in the works to force the U.S. government to be more transparent about the future of drone missions in the region. America's Now correspondent Mike Kirsch reports from the U.S.-Mexico border.
Yeah. 500,000 people attempt to cross illegally each year into the United States from Mexico, hoping to elude the 20,000-plus U.S. agents patrolling a border that extends from the shores of San Diego, California, 2,000 miles eastward to Brownsville, Texas. Border agents mandated by their agency, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, or CBP, to search for and apprehend terrorists, drug traffickers, human smugglers, and illegal immigrants.
10-12's leaving the area, 10-12's.
Increasingly dangerous work over the years for agents and other border law enforcement officers who have come under fire or been ambushed and shot dead by suspected drug traffickers. America's Now recently accompanied these two Arizona cops searching for drugs and traffickers at this house along the border. The two lawmen on their own with no backup. They are aided by video surveillance towers known as smart border technology and by CPB's most controversial assets, Predator B unmanned aerial vehicles like this one, known as drones, operated remotely by pilots in control rooms on the ground that are routinely flown above the border. A so-called secret weapon kept far too secret for the public's good, says lawyer Jennifer Lynch of the San Francisco-based nonprofit civil liberties group Electronic Frontier Foundation.
There hasn't been a lot of information available to the public on how the government uses drones, and so we filed several requests under the Freedom of Information Act to get access to that information. When the government didn't respond, we filed a lawsuit. We got access to a document, a concept of operations document that CBP produced in 2010 that indicated that CBP had considered arming those Predator drones. Now, of course, the drones already have those capabilities to be built in for the military. So it's really concerning that a domestic agency, a domestic law enforcement agency like Customs and Border Protection would consider using weapons, whether they're lethal or non-lethal.
A spokesperson for Customs and Border Protection has told America's Now that arming unmanned aircraft was an option discussed that was never implemented. In an email statement, CBP's Michael Friel says, quote, CBP has no plans to arm its unmanned aircraft systems with non-lethal weapons or weapons of any kind. CBP's unmanned aircraft systems support CBP's border security mission and provide an important surveillance and reconnaissance capability for interdiction agents on the ground and on the waterways. Suspicions remain, however, about CBP's ultimate intentions, says Jennifer Lynch, because large sections of its drone planning document are blacked out or redacted.
So we did see a lot of redactions, and at a later stage of our lawsuit, we'll challenge those redactions. We can't just rely on government say-so, saying that they're not going to use weapons or that they're not going to do improper surveillance. We've seen throughout the history of this country that we can't rely on law enforcement, on law enforcement's word or on the government's word. They've abused it time and time again.
Mexican officials who had authorized the U.S. to use drones for intelligence gathering to fight the war on drugs have also been suspicious. They claim they were never informed that arming the drones was ever an option. Though former U.S. intelligence analyst Joshua Faust believes Predator drones over the U.S.-Mexico border are primarily for surveillance and to bridge a gap with fewer agents on the ground due to budget cuts, not for targeting and firing on individuals as seen in places like Afghanistan.
Most likely why they're doing that is because they don't have enough people to staff guard posts all the way along the border. They haven't developed sufficient ground means to monitor either. The fences that have been built have either been cut through or tunneled under, and the electronic means that we have for preventing people from crossing a certain area on the ground are limited. The people who try to cross over this border have been able to circumvent everything that has been put up there.
Maybe 100 yards.
This video, shot by an unmanned drone along the U.S.-Arizona border, shows illegal immigrants crossing into the U.S.
So the hope is what drones will provide is a constant watch in the sky to be able to at least count and maybe track people who are trying to cross.
Fueling an ever-growing drone controversy in the United States is the proliferation of increasingly popular remote-control civilian-operated drones manufactured by companies like San Diego-based 3D Robotics. The company is forecasting $10 million in sales this year to private drone hobbyists around the world who are snapping up these mosquito-like quadcopters that sell for about $1,000 a unit. Sales expected to explode by 2015 when the U.S. government is scheduled to make them legal for commercial applications. Equipped with eye-in-the-sky video surveillance cameras that police and fire rescue teams could deploy, or that farmers can use to determine where to more efficiently water and fertilize their crops. To real estate and construction companies surveying future building sites with them.
Yeah, we're going to have 2 cameras on board today. One that's going to be sending us a live feedback from the aircraft that we can watch on the monitor right here. And the other one's going to be a GoPro that we're recording on board, so we can look at that footage when we land and it'll be in high definition. So we'll do 2 modes of flight today. We'll have one where we're under manual control. If I want, I can hand over control to the autopilot 100%. And I can pre-program a flight plan, and so when I hit go, it'll follow that pre-programmed path all the way around. And we can actually do a complete mission from takeoff to landing without ever touching the controls.
Jordi Munoz, the young Mexican-American who invented these flying machines, predicts drones like these will have a positive impact on society.
These little machines have like tons of, great applications that can solve many human problems. And definitely is going to improve, the quality of life of many people.
Though drone critics warn what lies ahead are serious concerns about public safety and invasion of privacy as more and more of them enter the airspace, whether they be government-operated predators or small unmanned aircraft like these with GPS tracking systems that are vulnerable to hackers and being misdirected.
When we think about drone proliferation in the United States, we need to worry about will there be some sort of security risk with drones, some ability for people to hack into those systems and either crash the drone, or if the drone has some type of weapon on it, could somebody, an attacker, get access to the system and fire off that weapon?
The U.S. government's controversial option of possibly arming its predators over the border, for the moment, grounded. Predators, it says, are in the air with no weapons on board. Whether the U.S. government will arm them in the future remains unclear.